Special call meeting with joint Graham County Commissioners.
I'll call this meeting, this joint meeting to order for the Graham County Board of Commissioners and Graham County Board of Education.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda today? Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, reports and discussion items. Robbinsville High School football stadium, Ms. Knight.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start this, and then there'll be opportunities for other people here to discuss things that have been going on. So first I want to say that today's discussion, if it helps anyone from the audience, today's discussion is not whether or not we're gonna move the football stadium. Today, the issue at hand is what are we gonna do to make sure that our children, our community has a football season here in Graham County this fall. Now, that discussion is something I will say as superintendent that I think needs to be in the forefront of some discussions in the near future. But today's meeting is for us to decide what we're going to do to either renovate, repair, tear out, whatever we're going to do with the bleachers at the high school football stadium. So I'd like to start with Mr. Moody is going to share with you just kind of how we got to where we're at, so that particularly the audience will understand how we got to this decision.
Some of y'all know, old enough to remember from 1981 was when we received the bleachers. 1981, if you remember, is when we received the bleachers by donation, which were basically, talking with Jason, some form of concrete beams or rafters might go under bridges or something like that, which served the purpose for the last 40 years. They've worked really, really well. Roughly starting 30 years ago, we've been making improvements all along. We've added Bermuda grass. 15, 20 years ago, if you remember, we had the only press box on the visitor side. We took it down and put the new one on the home side. We had one settlement issue roughly 10 years ago where we removed the top few bleachers and put in a retaining wall, and then replaced the bleachers along with paving the top part around the new press box, especially to help with that issue. Several years ago, we added the rails. New scoreboard was installed. 2019, we had some major stadium renovations. Visitor side was deemed really unsafe, so we took those up, poured a new slab, and set new bleachers on there. We dug up one whole end zone almost to fix some flooding issues or some drainage issues. We kept having standing water, so we did a French drain and repaired some sprinkler systems at that time as well. We resodded the football field. We also ran across a few artesian wells that were completely running, so we had to dig those up and cut drainage for those as well. New fence was put around the football field, new restrooms, new concession stand, renovated cheerleading deck, installed new side steps, and poured home side bleachers steps. The ones we had were unsafe. They were hollow concrete. We poured them solid. A few years ago, new stadium lights were installed and concrete to fix some of the other issues around the stadium. 2021, stadium was professionally inspected and repaired. All issues were repaired at that time. There was no shifting taking place. Our maintenance crew, which we have for the past several months, only have 3 out of 5 men working, still take time to inspect our buildings and the things on the property. They noticed a shifting at that point back in the fall of the bleachers. Okay, they had shifted and one had dropped down. At that point, they tried to fix it themselves. They jacked some bleachers up, placed steel plates on top of the foundational stair step that was under them, holding them up. We'll show pictures here in just a minute so you can see that, and set it back down. At that point, they knew it wasn't going to be a permanent fix, so they tried to contact 2 companies to come in and look. One was the bleacher inspection company themselves came and looked, and they said they wouldn't touch it because it was concrete. Then they asked Ram Jack to come in and look, and then they refused to help as well. At that point, back around late winter, early spring, we noticed we had to do something, so we contacted the engineer, which we finally got him in here. And at that point, he deemed it unfit to use, basically condemned. So we roped off the stadium in the spring, made it off limits to everyone. And of course, during this process, we had Jason Marino helping us out, which I appreciate his help. So that's sort of what led us to this point that the major shifting started the last 2 years. So, yeah, Kellen, you got pictures?
Yes,
Show 'em.
as soon as it comes on here, we'll. Is it coming on here? Robert, is it blinking like it's coming on?
There it is.
Okay. There we go.
And that's the same time as we made repairs, we took extensive efforts to make sure we didn't damage and protect our big oaks there as well, if you ever noticed that, so during all this process. You can see the only way they could get in is to contort their body through the end of the bleachers to get into the inside. Here's the shifting, and you see how big the gaps are where the bleachers have butted in together. Right here on the right is, you can see where they put the steel plates under the eroding columns, put the bleachers back down on top of them to try to stabilize them. If you'll notice here, they're set on top of each other like a stair step. And the shifting got to where you can even see daylight when you're under them out. So they're barely hanging on the fringe. Notice the lip here of each one of those beams. They're on it, not on the structural part of the beam. And of course, that's created many stress fractures because of that. And the major problem's at the bottom. So the issue is, if the one of the bottom ones broke, it would be a domino effect, and the rest would cave in after it slide and hurt it. And once you get in there, because one thing was really filled full of concrete. Once you get in there, some places are as high as 15 feet tall. Once you get in there, you can walk around. So there's a lot of space under those.
Whoa.
And
Man, there we go.
there you go. You can see here where two of us butted up, and they have shifted. It's a good probably inch or two. There's another picture of those plates that were put under it to stabilize it. And you can see the stair step foundation under them. That's under each one where the bleachers come together to set on. And you can see how it's eroding there, and that's the reason why, causing it to shift and to move. And the plates were put under there for a temporary fix. You can see how big some of the gaps are there in the shifts and where the bleachers come together. You can almost put a whole foot in that part. Another picture of that. And you see right there too, the stress fractures that I'm talking about due to them just being on the edge of the lip there. And there's a lot of those. Another picture of the erosion in steel plates. And just, like I said, different views. And this is different shots. It's not the same one. You can see the erosion is taking place of the concrete on about everywhere where the beams are setting. That already shows you a good picture of how tall it is under there and how the stair step foundation works where the bleachers are setting on, along with the steel plates under each one that we added. Somebody got any questions?
Okay, so I'm going to share the mic now with Jacob. We've been involved with the engineer for several weeks now and have a report returned to us early this week. We have had a couple of representatives from each board talk in detail with the engineer, and Jacob can share some of the main points from that conversation.
Thank you, Angie. Is this on?
Yeah.
So like Angie said, we received the engineer's report earlier this week. We met with him, and as we went through his report,
it was a plan to repair our existing bleachers. As we walked through his design, it became pretty clear that it would be very extensive repair, pretty expensive repair, and that it probably would not be something that would be feasible for us to do in our limited time frame that we're up against. Ultimately, we informally decided that probably our best path forward would be to demo our existing bleachers and install new ones. I've had some community leaders doing some hard work trying to make this stuff happen. Pretty sure that we can get some bleachers in time. We have to, of course, demo the bleachers and then prep the site. We don't have a hard cost on what that's going to be. It will be expensive, but it will be permanent. If we had went with the engineer's repairs, it would have worked, but it would have still been temporary. So ultimately, for the future of Big Oaks, we informally decided with the people that met that a demo and new bleachers would be the best bet. I wish we had some good cost estimates. I know that we're going to have some site work we're going to have to do, probably some retaining walls. We don't have a good site. We don't have a good cost yet. The main thing is it'll be permanent. We're in a tight spot. The timeline's the tough egg. So we've got to get something done if we want to play football, and ultimately, new bleachers is what I believe is the best bet. I don't know how much more detail you want me to go into, Randy. Does anybody have any questions about procurement or?
No, I don't. Anytime you're looking at a temporary fix and a high price attached to that, as opposed to a permanent fix with another high price attached to that, I'm in favor of the permanent fix myself in going forward and making sure that we've got the bleachers in place, the stadium up and running and ready to go come football season, whatever measures we have to take. I hope it's not more drastic than I can imagine, but I certainly do support that.
You want to talk about what the possibility of the new bleachers will be?
Possible as far as cost?
New bleachers going in, what will be? They will be.
The new bleachers going in are going to be essentially the same size as the bleachers that we have. I think the capacity may be just a little bit more. Is David in here? No?
About 86 more, 6 or 8 more.
We get a little bit more capacity with the new bleachers, right? Yeah. Right. They will be aluminum. And they're not easy to find right now. And I think that we got pretty lucky to find what we did. So
So when we are looking at costs, the way that I see cost is that you have your demolition. We've had some community leaders have volunteered to assist with the demolition process. So that is at a great value to both the school and the community, and it is very much a blessing. Then you have your cost of retaining your engineer, because anytime you do something on a government property, there has to be engineers involved and some oversight. I would anticipate that initially, just to do what he's done, probably we're up to about $8,000 or $9,000. So I would anticipate doubling that. This is an estimate. We would have the first year payment and or rental fee for the grandstands, which would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $66,000 to $70,000. And then the site having the retainer walls built would be the unknown at this point. We will have to get estimates on that. Would that be?
That's pretty much it, yep. That's pretty much it.
Jacob, I would ask, do we have any kind of a time frame on getting some, cost estimates?
The engineer has to go off the bleacher specs for the base, and then he'll have to, I'm sure he'll have to make a site, I hope he can design something without having to make a site visit after the site's prepped. Have you talked to him? Do you know what his time?
This has been sent to him, and my maintenance guys are not, I don't see them here yet. But that has been sent to him as soon as we received it, and so we're anticipating something back from him anytime.
So we don't yet, no,
Okay,
but soon,
soon,
yeah,
within 2 weeks?
I hope.
Okay.
It has to happen in 2
I'm gonna
weeks.
hold you to that.
So when the demolition start, depending on what we decide on.
If you
Today?
choose today, it could start when we leave, as soon as you say yes. If that would be your choice as a board, two boards.
Right.
And then anticipated, if the planets align and everything works like it should, by August, we should have the bleachers in place.
I expect a little more out of you, Robert.
One from you, so what do you say?
He said, I've taken a look at the aluminum bleacher drawings you sent me. This seems like a good solution. However, there will be challenges associated with the site. The new bleacher system is intended to be installed on a flat surface. Creating this flat surface will be a challenge. I've attached a drawing with a couple of very rough initial ideas. I strongly recommend getting an architect and geotechnical engineer involved to help plan this, especially if this may transition to a permanent bleacher. Additionally, NCDPI may need to review this and will require life safety plans, etc. So DPI will be,
So that will be on so there's no issue with taking anything out. And there probably wouldn't be any issue with the prep. Just they would have to be a part of that before things are put back in. But we'll go ahead and be working on that now that we have that word. We have been in contact with an architect to get his opinion already. I spoke with him yesterday, so he is aware of the situation and is willing to help as well.
So you feel very confident about that, Angie?
I do.
Thank you.
all right.
We move forward and tear these down today
Correct.
to do that. Then we would be okay with what we've got planned going forward. Yeah.
I think that we certainly have permission to go, demolition is not an issue. They're unsafe, and so it's a safety issue to have them on campus at this point, so there's no problem with that. And there won't be a problem, I don't think, down the road. We just need to make sure that we work hand in hand with DPI because it's a government entity. So we will make sure that happens in a timely manner. Mr. Green? So one thing that our attorney is asking for us is that we are getting a donation for the demolition, and our donation policy is that we would have to accept that. So, Brandon, you're here. Could you ballpark, what that might, the value of that donation?
Maybe yours definitely will.
Okay.
We're putting together.
Accept a donation to vets who don't apply and that they're certified, to have their certificates, license, whatever. And the value of that is in structure. So,
750,000.
Where is the copy of that?
Yeah.
So, I
would you
would,
repeat that, please, Nancy?
I will, I'll try to rephrase what everybody's saying out there. So, I'm hearing that probably around $100 to $150,000, value in the donation between the, is it 2 to 3? Three companies.
Logan contracting, KD Land, and Adams contracting.
Okay, so between,
Depending on how much you have to haul out.
Sure. So there would be about $150,000 donation made to the school and the county by Loving Contracting, K&B, and Adams Contracting for the purpose of demolition and removal and site prep of the stadium bleachers. And all these companies are properly bonded and have the appropriate certifications to do this. Coverage, yes. That's my recommendation. I cannot repeat that again. So,
We have to accept it as a gift too?
so if both boards could ask for a motion to accept that.
Board of Education, do I have a motion to approve this donation of approximately $150,000 donation? Approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
We do or do not want to accept this as a gift, or is it just as a skill?
And not just gonna be managing the money, the money is gonna be run through the school, but if you just accept it by them, but if the money's not being managed by the county, you don't have to necessarily accept the gift. Depends on who's gonna be the project manager, who's gonna manage the money.
The school will manage the finances and we'll manage the on-site work in conjunction with the school.
So I'm hearing you say it'll all run through the school and then it'll be a joint effort reimbursement later.
You'll make the motion to allow, Jason Loreno to help manage the gift that the school board has received. And it says you shall approve of that as well. I don't think it's not our gift, it's going to the school. We are fiduciary if there's money needed later on down the road. Property doesn't belong to Grant County. You can make a motion to approve Jason Marino to be in management with the school. And that puts us in the middle of a gift.
I don't really know how to phrase that motion, but I'll wait.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So, do I have a motion to appoint Jason Marino as the project manager on behalf of Graham County as the primary funding source for this project?
So moved.
All in favor?
He is not.
Any other formalities we need to take care of? Is that it? Okay.
Well, I'm assuming that this is the go lot to get things rolling.
Let me do one more. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve funding of purchase of the bleachers, any site prep and installation of the bleachers from the Graham County Board of Commissioners as the primary funder for this project.
You're asking for that motion now
I am.
without an amount?
I am. How long do you think it'll take to demo?
We'll try to be done the end of next week. Unless,
So we can go ahead and be trying to get some estimates for some retaining walls
Oh,
in the
yes.
meantime. I think
Do you
that,
think we can have estimates by then?
gosh, I don't know, I may need some help. But Jason would be able to help my guys with that as well. So. And I'm sure some of our contractors in the audience also will be able to.
Are we getting quotes or bids, or what are we
We'll
doing?
go through an informal bid process, I'm assuming, right?
Yes. So since it's going to be the school's project with your assistance, so we can do informal bids up to $500,000, right below $500,000.
So the school's gonna take care of procurement.
Up to, you need, I'll make a motion up to $500,000 for procurement of the bleachers.
Bleachers are floating.
You should have a quote for the bleachers.
Miss Connie, will you pick up the microphone and say that we can hear it? Thank you.
Regular $67,000, and I believe that's an annual.
That's an annual commitment for,
And it may not be the annual price every year, because that's also going to include the delivery and the setup. So it may go down in years after that, and it's a rent-to-own project. Yes.
How about like yours?
is it 4? I'm not, I can't, don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But, yeah, something in that area.
Okay, it's on,
Got there now.
no.
You got there
I
now.
talk loud. I'll make a motion, that the Graham County Board of Commissioners approve, the amount of, tell me the amount, Stacy. $67,000 annually, for the purchase of the bleachers. Is that enough information for you, Ellen?
And you have a cost estimate. I sort of like, you all can work together as long as it's under $500,000.
I mean, we either commit the funding now or we commit the funding when we have an estimate.
So our unknown we still will have engineer bill and the bill for the walls. So as we get that, maybe we could always reconvene and have discussions.
Okay,
I've
we
got
have
a
a
motion. I've got
on
a
the
motion
floor.
On the floor, to commit to the procurement or to the purchase of the bleachers. Do I have a second? All in favor? It's whatever the pleasure of the board is. We can commit the extra funding for whatever work needs to be done now, or we can wait and see what the cost estimate is gonna be. But the bleachers are coming out.
If I may, we will have the sales tax money that we paid off the school. We will have that sales tax money available, so there will be funds there.
What Kim said was that we will have sales tax funds available for this project.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The bleachers are coming out, and we just decided to buy new ones, so.
Correct. Do you all need any other motions for your records, for our records? Jacob, I think that's it, unless you had one more statement about.
We'll have to meet again and decide whether to fund the entire project in conjunction with the school.
We are budgeted up to $250,000 at this time. So if you want to wait, spend that $250, and if we need more than $250, we can spend over that limit.
So we've got $250 in the budget.
That's a good idea.
That is in the budget at this time, yes.
So I'll take a motion to,
We are budgeted for $250,000 at this point. And one point of discussion, if I might, Lester, about lottery funds. Are we looking for any help from the funding that we get from the state as lottery funds coming into the county?
Well, I can't obligate the funds, but I can tell you what we have available.
Okay.
To decide what they obligate out of those funds.
All right. Any other question about the lottery funds?
Yes.
Natasha?
So I make a motion to allow the school to spend up to the $250,000 that is already budgeted for this project. And if we need more, we can approach it again.
Second.
All in favor?
So I take that as the green light to go ahead. I just want to publicly say this couldn't happen if it wasn't for the work of a whole lot of people and some very concerned and very generous sponsors from our community. And then a good working relationship that we have between both boards. So all of our staff. So I really appreciate that. I think that this is the right decision. Football is not just football. It affects our whole community. It's a social event. It's, our football proceeds for this on the school side really help fund a lot of the other sports that go on at the school. The band is their primary funding. I'm pretty sure with youth sports that's a big chunk of your income for youth sports. And, we're fortunate to have a community where lots of things pull us together, and Friday Night Football is one of those things. It's really important to the community to have the time to get together, and we pride ourselves on being a close community, and because we've done that, I feel like we can go forward with this project and have a real good shot of being successful to have a really good season. So, Jake.
No, I think we're on board.
I totally agree with that statement, Angie. I didn't get on the team, but I love football. And Jimmy Holder does too.
I mean, if we look at it holistically, not having home football games in Grand County, I don't know that we could really quantify the economic impact that would have on our community. And it will probably cost a lot more money than what these bleachers cost. So I think it's a no-brainer, and we'll figure it out.
I'm ready for a motion to adjourn. Y'all.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?